Welcome back to Hardly Minding My Business, season 11, whatever it is. And I am back. I'm your girl Dash, Dashing D, and we got some things to talk about. I hope everybody is safe and cozy because we got hit with a massive amount of snow yesterday on the East Coast, and I know a lot of places in the South also were having ice storms and all kinds of things like that. So hopefully everybody is safe and good, and you had having a fun snow day. I know for some kids there is no snow day. New York kids do have some form of school today, but I hope everybody is good. Um, January is almost over. It just occurred to me this morning as I was preparing to, start my day, think about work and think about the work week. And I was like, wow, this is the last week of January. So the month has flown by. I feel like this was a short January, which is interesting because I always feel like January feels like a longer month. It is a longer month, but it always feels like it goes on a bit longer. Anyhow, I've enjoyed this month because I feel like it's been a moment of revival and renewing. This has been the reset that I think I really, really needed. I've enjoyed being able to just kind of lean into certain projects and figure out some things that I want to work on or just things I want to improve, and goals that I have that have not been realized yet. I'm grateful that I've had this time. There's been a little bit of downtime at work. And I think so far, I'm feeling good about the year so far. I saw a video. There's this creator, I think her name is Earl, ERL. I follow her. She's wears really cute outfits and whatever. And I follow her on TikTok. And I loved something that she said. She said, you don't have to whether you make resolutions or not, or you have goals or whatever it is, your vision board, however you start the year off, however you kick it off, January doesn't need to feel like everything needs to be done all at once. It should feel like a beginning, a renewal, a reset. You are setting yourself up and I'm paraphrasing, and she said it a lot better than I am, but she said, you're setting yourself up for everything. It doesn't mean that everything that you set out to do has to be done by the end of this month. It just means that you've gotten the ball rolling, you've started working on it. So don't feel that pressured, as we enter the end of the month. Don't feel that pressure to have finished everything. Also, coming off of the holidays is usually difficult for a lot of people because of loss. People experience a lot of loss and difficulties around this time of year. And, just be gentle with yourself. Give yourself time to feel and heal. And that was not supposed to rhyme, but allow yourself the space to do so. And if you feel like you're not getting that from others, demand it. There's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes you got to do it. Sometimes you got to set those boundaries. So just want to send some love and some hugs to everybody who might be feeling that way as we come to the end of the month. Hey friend, hey always says new month, new blessings. And that is probably actually going to be our tweet of the week because I did not pick one as I sit here thinking about it. But she posts every month on the first day of the month. She posts new month, new blessings. It's totally resonates with me because sometimes you need that refresh, or sometimes you need to see the first to be like, okay, what needs to be done? How do we get to where we're going? So Anyway, let's get to the fun stuff. Let's get into it. I had a couple things. So for today's sizzling topic, our hot topic of the day, I would love to talk about something I was reading about in GQ called laptop boyfriends. Have you heard this term before? A laptop boyfriend it's not as literal as it may seem. This is actually more about men on YouTube and how much time they spend on YouTube. I thought this was really interesting because I guess I never put it into perspective in this way. A guy named Charlie Sosnick wrote for GQ, and he wrote this entire article about how there are a lot of men who eat, sleep, and breathe YouTube. And sometimes it ends up in their relationships or in their bedrooms. So I thought this was really funny and interesting at the same time. Um, he basically talks to a bunch of people about, he talks to men who use YouTube as an outlet, and they wake up, they turn on YouTube, they go to sleep, they turn on YouTube. Some of them even finish having sex and they turn on YouTube. And he talks about the fact that he feels it's a uniquely male obsession. I thought that was interesting because I also feel like it's just, is it uniquely, maybe YouTube specifically is uniquely male, but I feel like we're all kind of in a state of, put the phone down. A lot of us need to put our phones down, men, women, however you identify. A lot of us are glued to our phones, which means that we are on our phones in moments where we probably don't even need to be on our phones. That's the reality of the situation. So I thought about this and I was just like, okay, I see where he's going with this. He has lots of evidence to prove it. He even talks to women who date or are married to men who do this. This one, the one woman that he talks about, her name was Isabella Weeks. And she says, and I quote, "The post-coital cigarette is a lost art. So now it's post-coital vape and YouTube." And I thought that was so funny because I'm like, all right, have I been in a situation where you know, and then there's YouTube? Yes. Yes. As a matter of fact, yes. It doesn't bother me. There's actually a gentleman who talked about how he gets on his laptop at night. He has like laptop time where that's his time to go on YouTube. He's in bed with his girlfriend, but they're doing separate things. So he's on his laptop and she's reading a book, and that's what they're doing. I'm gonna be real honest with y'all that's kind of my perfect night. Like, that's the perfect scenario that we are together, but we're doing our own thing. I love to read a book. And if y'all know me, I love to scroll on TikTok. I love to, there's I'm very much very much involved in the digital rigmarole that everybody else is involved in. I'm not gonna, sound like I'm somehow above it, but I do love to read a good book. So, and I think that's great. We're together, but you're doing your own thing. I'm doing my own thing. I love that. Like, even during the day, if there's, we're both in the house, but you're over there playing video games or whatever it is that you like to do, and I'm over here putting together some Legos or something like that. Like, it's like together but alone, but together. It's like a multitasking thing. I don't know, my brain, that excites my brain for some reason. But I thought this was really funny because Isabel Weeks, she made it very clear that, like, it's kind of not cool. And I can totally understand if you've just been intimate with someone that you don't want them to immediately look for screen time. You're looking to, I don't know, savor the intimacy in a sense. Like, you still want to be together afterwards. You want to be present in the moment. And these moments are important, how you aftercare is a real thing. How you handle things afterwards is important as well. So I think it's really funny that, not funny, but really interesting that people have different takes on this. For me personally, I don't really, the YouTube stuff, that doesn't really bother me. I think if a person is not being present in any moment, forget about whether it's sex or, maybe a serious conversation. If we're having a serious conversation, please don't get on YouTube, or please don't get on Instagram or something like that. Also, I feel like when you're spending quality time with a person and you need to lock in on something specific, then it's okay to put your phone down. It's okay to put your laptop down. Leave the devices alone for an hour or two and just kind of focus on the thing that you're doing with the person you want to do it with. So the difference between that and what I was saying before is that for example, if we're watching a movie and we decided we wanted to watch a movie, or we're watching our favorite show or something like that, then yeah, I need you to be focused on that so that we can be doing this thing together. But if it's something else and you got your own thing going on and I got my own thing going on, I always love to see the couples who both work from home on the same days. Sometimes it looks like chaos, but sometimes it looks like absolute bliss, where like one person is over there on a meeting and the other person is over here just plugging away on their computer or doing whatever they're doing. Um, I don't know. There's that, some, for whatever reason, those sort of things bring me peace. But yeah, there are moments where you need to lock in. If there's a serious conversation going on, if you're doing something that is together that requires you to focus on the thing that you're doing um together, then you should be doing that. I believe that. But I also feel like laptop time is okay. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Maybe I'm like, I don't know. Maybe it's just growing up from, you know, the way things used to be to the way things are now, knowing the difference, seeing social media and seeing things like YouTube grow from what they were in the beginning. I just feel like it's so ingrained in our lives at this point that it's kind of hard to get away from it. I also feel like, you know, have your hobbies, have your things that bring you joy and things you find fun to do that don't necessarily have anything to do with your partner. You can have common experiences. The same the same women that I was talking about, they noted that they also see the fact that it's a way of sharing with someone, because maybe they're not on YouTube by themselves all the time. Sometimes it's, hey, let me show you this video. Okay. And whatever their poison is, because the article also goes into, there's different types of content for everybody's interest. Some guys are into watching cars. Some guys are into watching Legos. Some guys are into watching comic book stuff. Some are into I don't know, rocket science videos. Whatever. The point is that sometimes you see something that you find interesting and you want to share it with someone. So that's also a reason that people end up pulling out their phone for YouTube or whatever. I feel like embrace it. It doesn't have to be overkill to the point where you're now doing something that you don't like to do in the interest of another person. But I think there is a balance. I think you can find commonality. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. So I don't know. Check out the article. I'll link the article in the show notes, but check it out because I thought it was interesting. Also wanted to talk about age gap relationships for a minute. Now, I just realized that I was supposed to do a little research and I did not. So the internet has been buzzing about Lunel and Albie Shore. It appears they're dating. And I say it appears they're dating because it doesn't really seem like they've confirmed so much as like playfully talked about it. And we're not really sure. And really, it's none of our business. But for the purpose of this podcast, we're going to do a little research, and I am going to check. Luenell is 65 years old, okay? And Al B. Sure, I'm going to assume Al B. Sure is like maybe 50. Al B. Sure is 55 and Luenell is 65. So Luenell is 10 years older than Al B. Sure. His birthday is June 4th. I did not know that. So close to mine. Now, people are making fun. People are talking about their looks and how it looks weird. How one of them is more attractive than the other one. So, there's always that conversation where people can't fathom if they think that one part of a couple is more attractive, like, or significantly, they deem them significantly more attractive than the person they're with. They often question, how did the other person get with that person? That's shady. Why do we care about this? I don't care about this. First of all, I don't know these people to care about this. But also, why would we care about a 55-year-old man and a 65-year-old woman getting with each other? To me, that's just a little bit strange. Now, here's what I will say. And I think it's strange because they're both like, they've crossed a certain threshold in life. At this point, does age really matter when you're 55 and 65? Just feel like it's all the same, isn't it? Like, maybe not exactly the same. She's got 10 years on him. So maybe she's had some experiences in the past 10 years that he hasn't had. But they're not that far away from each other. I get more concerned at age gap relationships when the person who's younger is like really young. Like, a 20-year-old dating a 50-year-old. Sure, they're considered an adult, but they really haven't lived, they really haven't experienced much. So being with a 50-year-old who's got 30 years on them just seems like they're miles and miles away from each other. And finding common ground and finding commonality, common interest is probably way harder for that gap than it is for 55 and 65. That's just me. That's just how I feel. It doesn't matter to me that she's an older woman and he's a younger man. I don't care about that. I don't think that's important. I think once you get past a certain age, it doesn't really matter so much. I think, again, when you're like super duper young and you're dating someone who's way older than you, it gets weird because it's kind of like, well, what does that 50-year-old want with a 20-year-old anyway? Like, besides the fact that, but young and beautiful is, I think, the theme that we've always seen, right? But what is it that you are finding in that person that you're not finding in someone who is closer in age with you? I also don't think it matters. Like, I don't want to turn this into a gender conversation. I don't really think that should matter here. I feel like if, you know, someone who's older or in a position of power, just because that a lot of times happens alongside, I shouldn't say a lot of times, but that sometimes happens alongside someone who's older. Sometimes it ends up being a situation where someone in a position of power or someone who can provide you access. I always wonder what the incentive is for the person who is older, besides looks. And maybe it is only looks. I don't know. That's when I worry. When it's like, like 20-year-old girl, 20-year-old guy, they still in college or whatever it is, and there's like a 65-year-old man or woman who, I look at that the same way, whether it's an older man or an older woman. I look at it the same way. Like, what do you want with that young person? Because some of those relationships can seem predatory. Some of them are, but some of them can give that perception. In any event, I am not someone who can speak firsthand on a 10-year age gap. I've never been in a situation where there was a 10-year age gap. I think the max amount of years I have gone is about 7 years, but never 10. So not really my style. Although as I get older, again, it doesn't seem so strange to me. Like me being, let's say 40, I am not 40, but I'm close to it. Me being 40 and I meet a 60-year-old man. I think the weird part for me would be that, my parents are in their 60s. That would be what would be strange for me. I don't know if I would be able to forget that my parents are in their 60s. And so is my boyfriend. But it doesn't mean that I'm here to pass judgment on anyone else. It doesn't mean that, you shouldn't do it. I'm not here to tell anybody who they should be with and why they should be with them. And listen, I'm not the authority, but I feel like we should leave Lunel and I'll Be Sure alone, because why do y'all care so much? I will say though, and y'all know, I'll tell you this much. When I feel like a relationship just looks weird, I told y'all last week, Jonathan Majors and Megan Good, they probably about the same age or pretty close in age. I think their relationship is weird. Like I look at them. I've looked at them over the past how many years, 2 years, 3 years, or whatever it's been, and I've been like, this relationship is strange. But it's strange to me for other reasons that have nothing to do with that. That's why I'm like, y'all need to stop talking about these people and the way they look and all of that. And honestly, congratulations to Lunel if she got her little young thing. Okay? I'll Be Sure. And I have spoken publicly about I'll Be Sure and said that I feel like I'll Be Sure needs to heal. And he's been through a lot. And if he is finding joy in this woman, I mean, they all over the place kissing and whatnot. So, which is why we think they're together, which is why everybody's speculating. Because it's not like they just were, walked into an event together. They've been like kissing on each other and stuff. And I mean, if you kissing on each other, I'm not saying everybody you kiss you with, but I'm just saying, congratulations to them if they are in a relationship. Good for them. What? Why the hell not? You know who else is together? I'm gossiping today, I know. But you know who else is together? Roxy Diaz and Anthony Anderson are together. Okay? Y'all know Roxy, former host of 106 in Park. Her and Terrence did their run. They were a part of the 106 in Park family. And since then, she's been a host. She's been a radio personality, a model, an actress. I think her current role, isn't she on... Oh, she used to be on Entertainment Tonight. I thought she was on Entertainment Tonight now. But she's out there. She's in the streets. Okay. She didn't say she's in the streets. I don't mean she's in the streets like that. I just mean she's been out there doing her thing. And apparently her and Anthony Anderson have been friends for 20 years. He's been publicly saying, because he's been promoting Star Search, he's been publicly saying that, they've been friends for 20 years. So it's not strange for us to see them together. They've been seen out recently holding hands and whatnot. They were on a red carpet recently together. And shout out to Sunny Hostin, because she just got to it. He was on The View and Sunny just asked him flat out, like, what's going on? What's going on with you and Roxy? And he did confirm, because he said he didn't want to get into trouble, but he did confirm that Roxy is in fact his lady. That's how he said it. That's my lady. You know, I thought that was cute. I thought it was cute. And they too have a 10-year age gap. She's 44. He's 55. So they have about a 10, 11-year age gap. Again, I don't see anything wrong with this. I actually think they're very cute together. I saw them when they were holding hands. They look good together. I like this. I don't know these two people. I have no idea. But I like it. The same way I like Albie Shore and Lunel. I think it's a little spicy. I think it's a little fun, you know? Yeah. Yeah. I like it. I'm into it. And, you know, maybe these are just cool, simple, short-term relationships, or maybe they'll go the distance. Who knows? Please stop putting pressure on people on the internet by way of the internet to be more than they need to be. Y'all were devastated when y'all heard that Teyana Taylor and what is his name? Aaron. I'm so bad with names these days. Aaron Pierre. Teyana Taylor and Aaron Pierre, they called it quits apparently, and people were devastated. They were like, "Oh my gosh, you know, they looked so good together, and it was great, and she seemed like she was so in love, and he seemed like he was so in love." I'm gonna let y'all in on a little secret. Every relationship doesn't have to be the last relationship, and everybody you date doesn't have to be the person you spend the rest of your life with. If that is your goal, that is your goal. But if it is not, Teyana Taylor had just gotten out of a marriage. She was working on a lot of different projects. I think she's still in the middle of dealing with her divorce, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe she didn't want more than what she had. Sometimes it's like that. Y'all gotta accept that. Seriously. You gotta accept that. Anyway, last thing before we go. Speaking of Teyana Taylor, I tried to watch One Battle After Another because I know it's nominated for a lot of awards this award season. And I said to myself, all right, I'm going to try once the Oscar nominations come out, which they did last week. If you want to know what the nominations are or my thoughts on the nominations, please go over to Weeknights. She won the Golden Globe. Really excited about that. That made me want to watch One Battle After Another. And I said that I was going to watch all the Best Picture nominees, all of the films, just so I could get a good read on what they're voting on. I watched 40 minutes of One Battle After Another. That movie is too long. I got to the 40-minute, it was 42 minutes, I believe. And I got to the 42-minute mark and I paused and realized I hadn't been halfway through the film. That upset me very much, actually. So I turned it off. It's not what I thought it was going to be. I don't mean that in a good way or a bad way. I'm not really sure what I was expecting, but what I was expecting didn't happen. This is a strange film. I get what's going on in the film. I'm not confused about what's happening, but I didn't realize that was what this was. That's my fault. I should have done a little bit more research. I'm going to finish it. I just needed a break from it. It was a lot in that 42 minutes. Like, a lot. Her and Leonardo DiCaprio, though, have a lot of chemistry. I was intrigued by their lust in the film. That comes across pretty early on, so you don't miss that if you watch the first 40 minutes of it. But interesting. Very interesting. And since I mentioned award season and the Oscars, I have to acknowledge the fact that Sinners has been nominated for 16 Oscar awards, or 16 Academy Awards. So we will see what happens with that. Again, you want to hear my hot takes on Sinners and the Oscars, you know where to go. Last but not least, in terms of entertainment stuff, I see Angel Reese, our good cousin Angel Reese, WNBA basketball player and podcaster / everything model. I think she does all kinds of things. She was announced to be joining the cast of Hunting Wives on Netflix. Angel is out here getting her coins, okay? Angel said, if y'all not gonna pay the WNBA what they deserve to be paid, if y'all not gonna pay us more money, you know what? I'm gonna go get the money from somewhere else. And that is exactly what she has been doing, okay? What? You about to be on Hunting Wives? First of all, Hunting Wives is good. I didn't talk about that because I wasn't recording new episodes when I watched Hunting Wives, but ooh, it was good. Y'all should watch it. Y'all should watch it. Okay. Definitely should watch it. Like, Hunting Wives is good. Okay. That's really all I have for y'all today. Like I said, tweet of the week. We already covered it. Just be safe out there, and stay warm, stay cozy. I'm gonna, go and try to start my workday now. So talk to you soon. Bye.